Welcome into Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com. All right, folks, welcome into this Friday. It's time for a little NFL breakdown show. Who's ready for that? Let me just get set up here in the chat box so we can see what's going on here with the good people. Let me just do a couple dubs here. All right, there we go. So I got the chat box up, rocking and rolling, and ready to go here on a Friday night. And as always, just like to come here with the people, talk a little football, end the week in style. Let's point towards that NFL card on Sunday and try to get after it and have some fun here. What's good, Adam? How you doing out there? You can see most of these stuff broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and I don't think I actually put it up on my rightwager.com site today, but it'll be up. The replay certainly will be up as well. What's good, Sean, out there? Yeah, we're going to have some fun. And the reason I'm doing this here on Friday nights is because obviously with the SBR YouTube channel being down, we only do the show on Mondays, which is the opening line, and then also on Sundays, which is the closing line. So I'd like to get a day in between, and also more likely to talk to you guys out here. What's up, Ruffy Chew? How you doing, brother? Checking in there on Twitch. I see you. Hey, TD, how's it going? But I just wanted a shot to where we could talk over some football. And to be honest with you, I don't have an official play just yet for a team total. There's a couple that I really like, but we're not under the gun here. We're going to make the right moves when all the information comes in. There's a couple of plays, which we'll go over tonight, that I really like, and I'll let you know where I'm leaning on those. And if I get some certain circumstances, we're going to fire away. We'll be in action this weekend. Don't get me wrong. We're going to have some fun on team totals. But also, we're going to get down on some of these, FanDuel odds boosts, which odds boost, and also game specials, which they call them. There's a couple I like. There's one I already fired on, by the way. So if you guys aren't involved in it yet, and a lot of the times here, I'll show my tickets for FanDuel just so everybody can, because it's, hey, I got a team total here at BetMGM. Here's what it is. You can go find that easily. But sometimes people need to see the tickets on FanDuel because there's so many sides that you can actually bet, where to bet them, how to find those. And I can't tell you enough. I get a lot of people in DMs, which you guys know. Most of you in the chat box probably DM me before. I like to try to help as many people as I can out. Hey, where'd you get that bet at? What are you looking at on this one? What are your thoughts on this? I love football. I love talking football. I love talking to the people out here. So that's why I do the show. I don't get paid for the show to come on Friday night. And, maybe I could just be getting ready for my radio show in just a little bit. But I like to come on here, have some fun, talk to the people, and certainly talk some NFL football, which you guys know my passion. So what I bet already, and, I always look off to the left here because I do have my big marker board up here with all the wagers that I like and play. The one that I did play here, the Colts, Bills, and Bengals on FanDuel. And if you're on my Twitter timeline, you'll see it there, at Right Side VP. You'll see the picture of the ticket. It's the Colts, Bills, and Bengals, 3 touchdowns or more apiece, and that pays out at plus 230. So if you do the math on those, right, looking at the Buffalo Bills here, great offense, playing against the Miami Dolphins, a sieve of a defense. They need to get 3 or more touchdowns. And then the second team in line here, as we see the Colts, and the Colts are going up against the Tennessee Titans. Not a great defense. Colts have shown up now time and time again the past couple weeks. Injuries, bygones, let bygones be bygones, as we say with Carson Wentz. He's now healthier. Them to get 3 or more touchdowns. And then the last team in this is the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the New York Jets. I think they get 3 touchdowns. So in a sense, if you're asking me, because it's a plus 230. It's not plus 100, minus 150, minus 175. So it is a little bit of a long shot ticket. It's over 2-1, which I'd like. But doesn't it feel like it's going to come down to the Indianapolis Colts as the plus 230 component here to get 3 touchdowns against the Titans? I think they can do it. A lot healthier than the last time they played the Titans, and we're going to go over that game as well. But just want to let you guys know I am already involved in that one, and it's not for a lot of money. Most of the prop bets and odds boosts that I do, $50, maybe $100 if I'm building out a parlay or something like that. But that's the first one I got down on. Now, why don't we start with a couple of these bets here to start out? So let's just take a look here. Let me just scroll through. All right. On the FanDuel Sportsbook, there's 3 I have my eye on Sunday with prop bets here, all listed under the game special section. So how do you get there? Hey, Donnie, I can't find this. Where do you get these at? If you go to the FanDuel Sportsbook, you click on the NFL tab. You'll see at the top part of the screen, you can scroll through games, weekly specials, Super Bowl, conference division winner, season specials. If you go to the weekly special section, that's where they all open up. And it starts with week 8. And there's a couple fun ones there right off the bat. Highest scoring game, highest scoring team, lowest scoring game, lowest scoring team, which I think gets some pretty good markets in those. I haven't really dabbled for much money in those, but if you're looking at those over and over, there's some really good wagers out there and some long shot tickets that you can cash in on. So let's take a look here at what I like if you slide it down. Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, Ryan Tannehill, and Carson Wentz each to have 250-plus yards passing in their game. So again, Matthew Stafford has to go over 250 yards against Houston. Take a look at Jalen Hurts, over 250 yards against Detroit. If you take a look at Ryan Tannehill and Carson Wentz playing each other, obviously, for the Titans and Colts, each one of those to go over 250. That pays off at a plus 410 price. Now, I also like to say here, I haven't bet these yet, but I'm just want to talk it over with you guys to let you know like where my mind's working at. And no doubt about it, if you guys follow me, these will be posted on Twitter throughout the weekend if I do go. I love it. I love sharing these stuff and having fun to see if we can win. Because quite frankly, the past couple weeks on FanDuel with the odds boost, whether it's 3x2s in the NBA or, baseball stuff or NFL stuff, we've been killing it. Almost had a complete sweep last night. If it wasn't for I needed one touchdown pass in that game for the Arizona Cardinals, and I couldn't get that. And that was going to pay out at a pretty decent price. But we had some really, really good ones here. But I do think that one is decent. So again, Stafford, Hurts, Tannehill, Carson Wentz, each to have over 250 yards. Now, if we take a look at the second game here, or the second option that I have, this is under 4 o'clock bets. 40 or more points in each 4 o'clock and 4:25 game. So if you're looking at that, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 games between 4 o'clock and 4:25 that are going to get underway. And that is Jacksonville, Seattle, New England, and the Chargers, Washington, Denver, and also Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Over 40 points in all of those games. So if you take a look at the totals in these games that are listed, 44.5 at FanDuel for Jacksonville, Seattle, New England and Los Angeles, that is 49.5. Washington and Denver, 44.5, and Tampa Bay and New Orleans, 49.5. So if you take a look at that one, that pays out at a plus 250 price. Haven't betted here, but you do avoid the landmines, as I like to call them, right? The Jets and also the Houston Texans, they will be playing earlier in the day, so you don't have to worry about them at that 4 o'clock space. The last one that I'm looking at here to have some fun with possibly, each team to score one passing touchdown or more in the 4 o'clock and 4:25 games. So again, you don't have to go up against the landmines that are the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. These are just the 4 o'clock games, and it's 4 of them. So if each team throws a touchdown pass, that's plus 460. So not bad prices here. Those 3 I have lined up in queue. Again, have not bet those yet. Maybe you're going to check on the say, give me an extra day or 2 to make sure we have everything that we need out here to bet those games. No COVID list, no late injuries, no late weather reports and stuff like that. Ruffy says, Eagles running ball when I need them to pass worries me. Yes, the Eagles, they are going to worry you. And we're going to go over that game in just a few moments. But got some of those out of the way. I'm already on one of these, already tweeted it out for the prop bet. Those are the 3 I'm looking forward to. But if you guys peruse it and you have any questions on those, particularly with FanDuel, they're a lot of fun to go over, and it's a market that is emerging where maybe if you don't like a side of a game or a total of a game, you can dip into some of these things and have some fun with. Don't need a lot of money, and you could pull down, as we said, the bets that we're looking at here. The one we bet already, plus 230. The ones we're looking at, plus 410, plus 250, and plus 460. So it should be some fun stuff to go over and see what they have to offer here. All right, let's take a look here at the NFL card here in Week 8. Sunday, 251, 252, Miami and Buffalo, Tua Tagovailoa and Josh Allen. Rested Buffalo Bills. Last time they faced the Miami Dolphins, they pasted them. So let's take a look at the board here, right? 48.5 opening line here at the FanDuel Sportsbook goes to 49.5. Pinnacle opened up actually a little bit higher, 49.5 and minus 13.5. So across the board right now, we're seeing 14s and anywhere between 48.5 and 49.5, depending on where you're shopping at. If we take a look at the ticket counts here, close to 80% of the tickets coming in on the Buffalo Bills with 90% of the money. Everybody loves the Bills in this spot. And what's not to like about the Bills? They're a really good football team. But if you're looking to attack this game, it's a division game. We saw Buffalo melt this Miami Dolphins team with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback just a few weeks ago. So I understand if you're going to be a little bit leery with this one. But let's bring up some statistics here with the Buffalo Bills, particularly on offense. We know the Buffalo Bills have a good defense. We know they already smashed the Miami Dolphins. But take a look here as a snapshot after that game at Miami, which is really interesting, because the Buffalo Bills ran for 143 yards on the ground versus the Miami Dolphins and only 171 yards in the air. They won that game 35-0. They scored 35 points with those, cheap statistics, so to speak. But let's take a look at what the Buffalo Bills did against Washington. $122 on the ground, 359 in the air. Take a look at Houston, which they blew out 40-0. And also in that game versus Washington, they did score 43 points, the Buffalo Bills. 40-0 over Houston. 199 yards on the ground, 251 in the air, completely balanced. At Kansas City, 38 points on the board, 121 on the ground, 315 in the air. And then the Tennessee Titans game, which they lost, but still put up 31 points, 82 yards on the ground, and 335 in the air. Yeah, NFL-wise, I'm going to go over that game because it has me intrigued there with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get to that in a little bit. So when I'm trying to attack this game, initially, I was looking at the Miami Dolphins all week. So if we take a look at, and I use Bet365. I don't really bet with Bet365 because I like to buy down my team totals, but it's just the easiest interface to look at because it shows everything at once here. The Miami Dolphins are listed at 16.5 at -120 as a team total. I actually think the Miami Dolphins can get there. Didn't play the Miami Dolphins on a team total last week because worried about injuries and stuff like that. Looks like the Dolphins are going to come in pretty healthy. Will Fuller's not going to make it to the starting gate in this game, but it looks like Devontae Parker is, which he did not last week. That's pretty big here. So the one thing that I do understand is the Bills will score. I want to see how much the Miami Dolphins can actually score in this game. Now, if we take a look from the Buffalo Bills side, 32.5 -115. It sounds a lot. It sounds like you want to go for the cheap number for the Miami Dolphins. But really in this game in Buffalo, nice weather for Buffalo this time of year. Mid-50s, light winds, no precipitation. Let me just get an updated weather report here real quick because it wasn't showing. Oh, here we go now. Uh-oh. All right. So the latest weather reports say possible light rain, possible drizzle, about 11-mile-an-hour winds. So that doesn't change it all that much, but wouldn't you rather see 55 degrees, 7-mile-an-hour winds, and sunny conditions out here? I would. So looking at the drizzle, maybe one that you want to keep an eye on because that can change over the next 24 to 48 hours. But when I was looking initially, as I said, at the Miami Dolphins, it might be more of a Buffalo Bills team total because even if the weather isn't that great, Josh Allen is an incredible quarterback, legs, arm, everything. And this Buffalo Bills team is coming in healthy to this week. Let me just take a final look at the practice reports here for the Buffalo Bills that came in here on a Friday. Spencer Brown looks like he's doubtful, offensive tackle. Dawson Knox, obviously, we know the hand. But outside of that, everybody looks like they're going to get to the starting gate and be healthy in this one. What's good, Joey? Thanks for checking us out. So, man, we had a little bit better of a concept here if it wasn't going to rain. But honestly, the shift for me from the Miami Dolphins at 17.5 over to the Buffalo Bills in the 30s. And you guys know I really don't like to take team totals, in that, above 24.5, 25, 26, because then you're asking for 4+ touchdowns and some field goals to go along with it. Can Buffalo do it? Yes, they can. I mean, we just read off some of the statistics here. Look, let's go for the full. Let me go for the full schedule here. Hold on. Clunker versus Pittsburgh, right? Week 1. Clunker. 16 points. Dominated the football game, but still somehow lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Buffalo then scores 35, 43, 40, 38, and 31. So if you're scared of that 32 number, 31 number, depending on where you're shopping at, don't be. Because Buffalo certainly can run up the score and they have no problems doing that. Carolina, Atlanta, 253, 254. Darnold, Ryan, and the same concept that I've had all week long here. All week long. How do you trust Carolina in this game, right? Like, honestly, how do you trust Carolina? On the road, terrible offense. Atlanta finally starting to click here. Let me bring up some Atlanta statistics here to take a look because this is one of those teams where entering in the season, like, I don't think they're going to be that good. Then they show up against the Philadelphia Eagles and get absolutely blasted in that game. But they've rebounded nicely here. So outside of those first couple weeks, right, they played Philadelphia, got trounced. You go on the road to Tampa Bay, got trounced, which we all expected there. Beat the Giants 17-14 in a comeback in the fourth quarter, ugly game. Lost to the Washington football team, but you scored 30 points in that game. You beat the New York Jets, you scored 27. You beat the Miami Dolphins, and you scored 30 points. And take a look at Matt Ryan, as we like to say, that ragged arm, right? Since the Philadelphia Eagles game, 293 in the air, 227 in the air, 275 in the air, 342 in the air, 325 in the air. Now, Carolina is a decent defense. If you want to say Carolina, probably a better defense than the Giants, Washington football team, Jets, and Miami. But still, you're looking at some of these games where they beat the Jets 27-20. Calvin Ridley didn't even play in that game. The emergence of Kyle Pitts at tight end, sensational stuff. So if we're taking a look at a team total from Atlanta's perspective, 24.5, which let me just slide it over here to BetMGM. Just get to take a look at what that price would be to get it under 23.5, just to see what it's going for here. All right, so we got the Atlanta Falcons. 23.5 is -140. 24.5 is -105. Okay. Makes a little bit of sense there, right? Makes a little sense. But on this game, overall for myself, betting-wise, team total-wise. Not really on my radar here. Now, interesting game coming up next year. Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions, 255, 256. 72% of the tickets here on the Detroit Lions, 58% of the money. If we take a look at FanDuel, they opened up at -4, now sit at 3.5. Offshore Pinnacle, they opened up at -3, now sit at 3.5. I have to tell you, like looking all week long, the Eagles are a better football team than Detroit. Yes, they are. But I don't know necessarily if this game is priced appropriately here for what you're getting out of the Philadelphia Eagles. Not great on offense for the Eagles. And you know when the Eagles look really good out there, people? In the fourth quarter when the game doesn't matter. I mean, let's take a look at the Eagles on the season here. Now, Lane Johnson should be active again for this game, which is good, but Miles Sanders is down. You saw last week against the Vegas Raiders. Miles Sanders looked like he was going to have an impact in that game. Gets hurt early, their offense completely broken. Until the fourth quarter. If you guys followed me on Twitter, we had the Eagles team total over 14.5 hit pretty easily in that one, which was nice. But the Eagles are a great fourth quarter team when the other team seemingly not trying. Now, in this game, it looks like Detroit's going to be trying. Why? Because they haven't won a football game yet. Do I think Detroit's going to be up multiple touchdowns on the Eagles in the fourth quarter? No, I don't. But let's get back here to see what the Eagles were doing on the season, right? Opening day, 173 on the ground, 261 in the air. Whoa! Nick Sirianni really knows what he's doing out here, doesn't he, folks? Game 2, terrible. 151 on the ground, which actually wasn't bad. But a lot of that being done on the legs of Jalen Hurts as well. 177 in the air. Dallas game, 64 on the ground, 303 in the air. Sounds great, but you're getting blown out in those games. Kansas City, 103 on the ground, 358 in the air. Sounds great, right? They were getting blown out in that football game. Scored late in that game to make it 30 points, to make it 42-30. Carolina, 91 yards on the ground, 182 in the air. They were horrific. I don't even know how they won the game, to be honest with you, the Eagles in that game. Tampa Bay getting blown out in that game. End up 28-22. They had 100 yards rushing and 113 in the air. I have no idea. That's a miracle how they got the cover in that game. Las Vegas last week, 33-22, getting blown out. 135 on the ground, 223 in the air. I don't trust the Eagles. I don't trust the Eagles. But at the same time, there's a lot of people out there, Twitter, pundits, and I just read you the ticket count. Nobody respecting the Eagles in this football game at all. 48 is a total. Now, normally looking at a team total in this game, am I interested in the Eagles? Not necessarily, no. Even though Detroit's defense is terrible. Vegas has a better defense, Tampa Bay, Carolina. I guess the one comparable defense, if we take a look with Detroit, it's probably Kansas City. And the Eagles did put up over 450 yards of offense, including 5.4 yards per rush, which again has a lot to do with Jalen Hurts scrambling as well. A lot to do with that. But overall, team total-wise in this game, don't love it. But again, I'm not running to the window to take the Eagles. I'm not running to the window to take the dog. Hey, take the dog and the Detroit Lions in this game. But I do think the Eagles are overpriced a little bit at 3.5. I do. I think this game should be closer to under a field goal, 2.5, something in that range. Because I told you guys last week on the Friday show when the Eagles went to Las Vegas, I thought the Eagles getting way too much respect in that game. -2 for the Raiders. That's it. I didn't care if Darren Waller wasn't playing. Vegas Raiders have a better overall football team, a better quarterback. But in this one, Jared Goff is the quarterback going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Joey says maybe an under spot could be overpriced because Philly's box score is a result of garbage time. It is a result of garbage time touchdowns. It really is. Like, look, outside of the Atlanta game, they stunk against San Francisco, Dallas, Kansas City, Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Vegas. So you have one really good game followed by 6 straight bad ones. Man, it could be hard to take the Philadelphia Eagles in that spot here. Let's get the 257, 258 battle in the AFC South. Must-win game. And that's why you're seeing the line moves here. Bet Rivers -3. Parks -3. FanDuel Sportsbook 2.5. Offshore Pinnacle 2.5. Favor now. Indianapolis Colts over the Tennessee Titans. Total in this game opened up at 49.5 at FanDuel. That's now sits at 50.5. Pinnacle opened up this line at 47.5. And now sits at 51.5. I like Indianapolis to win this football game. If T.Y. Hilton can get to the starting line, I think Indy's the side in this one. Tennessee's having a good season. Don't get me wrong. Went to Seattle where they had Russell Wilson and beat them. Beat the Buffalo Bills, beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen it. They're a good football team. It's one of those games where if Tennessee loses, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But if the Colts lose, possibly season ending. They're going to be ready here. And you even saw earlier in the week, Tennessee Titans as a favorite of -1.5 and now completely swung over to Indianapolis. So, I mean, again, Bet Rivers, Parks, PA, there's 3s out there. So I know Emza says Tennessee plus for me. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You wait the 3 out. You're going to be in a dogfight. And usual suspects in this game, right? Carson Wentz actually is healthy on both ankles. They actually could have won that game versus Tennessee on the road when they were so banged up, beaten, and injured. Frank Reich had those boys ready to go. They just couldn't win. Now, all of a sudden, they're pulling out big victories in San Francisco in the rain. That's a nice win there. T.Y. Hilton needs to get to the starting line in this one. Banged up. You saw him get injured against the Houston Texans. Says his quad should be okay for this one. Sat out last week against the 49ers. But, hey, once again, Julio Jones. Yeah, Julio's not going to play in this game. A.J. Brown banged up. It looks like he's going to start. This game's going to come down to Jonathan Taylor on the ground and King Henry on the ground. Who's going to eat more here? Who's going to be ready? Darius Leonard said they can't wait for this game because it's a must-win situation, and I agree with it. So I think overall as a side, Indianapolis is the play here. 40% of the tickets, 50% of the money, complete line shift move back to the Indianapolis Colts. I like it. I do. What's going on, Akbar? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, Detroit is motivated. We'll see what we get out of Philadelphia, but the fact they don't have Miles Sanders, that's not good. Gainwell's not ready to be a lead back. Jordan Howard's going to come off of the scrap heap and probably be active in this game, and then good old Boston Scott. So that's what we're dealing with here in this one. But overall, I don't have a team total look, per se, in Tennessee and Indianapolis. We'll just see how it actually brands out right here. All right, some late-breaking news here on the Rams game. Jalen Ramsey misses practice due to an illness today. So that's something to keep an eye on over the weekend. But the simple question is, do they actually need him in this game, right? Going up against Houston. Rams and wide receiver Deshaun Jackson looking for a trade. So one of those guys that, hey, he can run fast in this straight line, didn't work out. I believe he only has a couple catches on the season. Had that one big, deep one. But now we're looking at the Rams and Houston, and we do know who's going to be starting quarterback. It's not going to be Tyrod Taylor. Not going to be Deshaun Watson, going back to Davis Mills. Line sits again, and you see it creeping. Were people out here thinking that Tyrod Taylor was playing this week? Honest to God. Was anybody out here actually thinking that that was a real thing? That he was going to be playing? There's no way he was playing this week coming off the IR. Obviously, Deshaun Watson wasn't playing. So this line hovered at 14. Now it's up to 16.5 at a lot of outlets. 14.5 at FanDuel, 16 at Bet365, 16.5 at DraftKings. Pinnacle opened up 14.5 at plus 100 offshore as a favorite towards the Rams. That now sits 15 at Pinnacle. 46 is across the board. Rams going to be able to name their price in this game. I don't know why you'd be looking at any way, shape, or form Houston, whether it be a team total, over, game over, taking the 16.5 because they're home. And I think what plays into this as well is the Rams from last week getting a little bit of a scare from the Detroit Lions. So now you're saying if your head football coach is Sean McVay, hey, guys, you can't just roll your helmets out and beat these bad football teams. You saw it last week. They almost stung us and beat us. Needed a late interception by Jalen Ramsey to seal the deal. Now you're going to go into Houston against a completely inept offense who gave up their best running back now. So it's just Brandon Cooks and nobody else, and nobody even really to throw him the football. And you can see the Rams win this game by, double-digit scores. 10 points, not enough. 17, probably good enough. 20, in that range, I think so. But also a 46.5. It's funny because the Rams can name their tune in this game and put whatever they want up. But the question is, let's just say they hang 31 points in this game against Houston. So if you need that total, you're getting like 16 out of the Houston Texans? I don't think so. I mean, their team total's got to be god low. What is it? What's the regular line in this one? 14.5 plus 100, which means some of these books out here, you can get that down to probably 13.5 at juice. And I want no part of that. Imagine that. 13.5, no juice. You don't want any part of that. Wild. Absolutely wild. But again, no real look on team totals in this game. If you look at the Rams, it's 31. The Rams should be able to do whatever they want. But the only issue is you're on the road. Do you really want to go full blast? And once you get that 20-point lead, is there really any need to hit the gas pedal in this one? Because Houston's not going to be able to respond. And Houston doesn't try to respond. 261, 262, Cincinnati and the New York Jets. Joe Burrow versus Mike White. How about that? Line opened up at 4. Probably at the outset before you knew the injury information to Zach Wilson. I don't think matters all that much. Now we're sitting at 11.5. Pinnacle opened up, it looks like maybe a little bit later at 8.5. Then they moved to 10.5. 45.5. FanDuel opened up as a total down to 42.5. Pinnacle opened up at 44. That's now down to 43. 84% of the tickets here coming in on Cincinnati. Sharp say take the Jets. What would you like about the Jets in this game? And I told you last night we were rocking and rolling, firing away easily. On the only team total I wanted last week was the New England Patriots, who got the 54 points. Doubled their points output, which is fantastic stuff. Covered by the half. Joe Burrow and the Bengals can name their price in this game. The Jets stink on defense. Corey Davis isn't going to play now. It looks like at wide receiver, or very doubtful to play Sunday. How are they scoring? So you usually say, like you hear me say the term running mate, like it's nice to get the Jets if they could score 14 points, 21 points, 28 points, and run with a team to force Cincinnati into scoring. It's not going to be the case. But then again, maybe looking at the Jets for a lot of 3 and outs in this game overall. A lot of them. So maybe they can build up points quickly here. And also keep in mind, Cincinnati, when they played Detroit, started out very slow in that game, had a team total over on the Bengals, which ended up hitting. They were fantastic in the second half. Joe Mixon getting healthier. You saw last week going on the road to Baltimore. It's a really good football team. Now, part of you want to just take that over 43, but the Cincinnati Bengals defense has been really good, and the Jets don't have much to offer. They don't have much to offer. So I know a lot of people talking to this week, the issue is, hey, man, it's not really, we're not used to seeing the Bengals. That's a double-digit favorite at home, much less on the road. But that shows you how bad the Jets are. Just try to put the simplest cap you can possible into this Bengals game. And you say to yourself, okay, the Jets have the football. What's more likely, a touchdown or a 3 and out? It's easily more likely the 3 and out every time. And if you're the Jets and you know scoring is going to be hard to come by for yourself, you have a 4th and 3 at the 21-yard line. Are we really kicking field goals? Like, really, are we really kicking field goals here? Probably not, which is probably going to hamper that total. I don't see a lot of Jets points here. I think Cincinnati has an easy chance to run away with this one here. Ruffy Chew says, whenever you do get to do this, will you be long past the Falcons game? I don't even know. I don't know what that means. What's that mean out there, Ruffy? Akbar, missed the show has been tough out here in the streets. Yeah, we miss them too. Me and Kyle miss them too. But even if they do come back on the YouTube channel, it's no Thursday show. So we're de facto replacing that Thursday show right here for us. Yeah, and it's not a bad prop, 19.5. We've been dipping and dabbing in some of these prop bets here, having some fun with those. Last night was a good one. Anybody, the same game parlay, which is always that risk-free $10 bet, it's just fun to build something. Hit a 5-1 last night, which was beautiful. Connor scored a touchdown. Aaron Jones scored a touchdown. Zach Ertz over 25 yards receiving. And Aaron Jones over 35 yards rushing came in last night. That was a pretty good one, man. That was a really good one. But anyway, the Cincinnati Bengals, and again, not one of those games I'm really leaning towards. 27.5. Can they get to 28? Sure. Jets at 15.5. I'm not so sure they can get to that one. Now, this game's giving me a lot of problems. 263, 264. And on the early line on Sports Grid, I gave my money line dog of the week as the Pittsburgh Steelers because I just can't get enough of them. Not to say it's going to win, but I have 2 straight losing weeks with picking money line winners. Thought I had one last week at the Miami Dolphins as they took the lead with about, 2 minutes to go against Atlanta and couldn't hold it. But I've been having a great season on money line dogs. Plus 160, I did take the Steelers. Do I love the Steelers? No. But I don't love what I'm seeing out of Cleveland here. I mean, it's funny when you look at this game where you say Ben Roethlisberger is the healthier quarterback in this one. Baker Mayfield, broken bones in his shoulder. Torn labrums. All right, so Nick Chubb's coming back. How effective? How many carries is Nick Chubb getting? It almost feels to me like that +4 on Pittsburgh is the way to go. And I always say myself, don't get involved with Pittsburgh. Now, again, just picking it for a show. I don't have any official plays on this. And even if you're taking a look at a team total, right? Pittsburgh Steelers 17.5. Where can we get that here? Can we get it under 16.5? Let me check good old friends at BetMGM here. Scroll down to the Steelers. Over under in that game, 42 at MGM. 16.5 is expensive, 185. So it doesn't make all that much sense to buy it down that far. But you're talking about a price, the next level price that you would look at is the 20-point number. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 19.5. That sits at -110. That's doable. I think they can get to 20 points. I do. Haven't bet it, and I don't want to outsmart. You guys know me. I don't like to outsmart myself. They're the ones that get you upset at. So I've only had 14 team total wagers on the season. Here we are sitting in week 8. Slow and steady, 10-4. Is it 10-4? Hold on. Let me get the official ledger out. I don't like the steer you get. Yeah, 10-4. Yep, Patriots game made it 10, which is awesome. It's a great number. How about if we turn 10-4 into 20-8, and then 40-16? We'll take that out here, right? Amza says, I like Cleveland here. Keenum is fine, and they're getting healthy on both sides, offense, defense. I don't know, though. But see, that's the issue I have in this. Like, can they score? I mean, they were brutal against the Denver Broncos. If Baker Mayfield was suspended last week and not injured, I'd feel much better. If Nick Chubb was healthy, I'd feel much better about it. But in this one, looking towards, if I had to pick a side, it probably would be Pittsburgh at +4. And if you had a live camera inside my house on Sunday as I watch that game, yeah, you probably see me throwing stuff there. Or maybe, as I say, go walk the dog. I can't watch it anymore. Why did I bet on Big Ben? Next game up, very intriguing to me. And it's a shame because the game is ruined. It's 265, 266. That's San Francisco and Chicago. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start for San Francisco. Looks like he's healthy. Also, keep in mind, looking at the reports coming out today, Trey Lance does not have an injury designation for Sunday. And Kyle Shanahan said if he's up, he's probably going to have a package in for him, which is good. It adds to the offense. And do I want Trey Lance starting? Not necessarily. But I can see points in the game where it makes sense, where he can use his legs and sort of shake things up. Chicago Bears defense is pathetic. Now going to be without Khalil Mack. I don't know how they're stopped. Their secondary is awful. Their only redeeming quality was an athletic front seven, which now is not so athletic with your best player not going to play in this game. But at the same time, do you want to take San Francisco? I'm still a week or two away from San Francisco. I need George Kittle. I need a healthy George Kittle, a healthy Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel banged up in practice this week, but looks like he's going to go in the game on Sunday. Brandon Ayuk, just in the doghouse all year. Multiple running backs. But at the same time, I don't trust Chicago. Do I love taking San Francisco -4? No. Justin Fields, if he throws for 200 yards, you're going to throw a parade in Chicago in the Windy City for the kid. So I don't know how you trust it because it opened up at 43.5 as a total. It's down to 39.5. Pinnacle opened up at 41. That's down to 39.5 also. Just a bad football team. Just a bad football game overall. But I do trust San Francisco more. Why? Kyle Shanahan's a way better coach than Matt Nagy. At least I have a competent quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo on one side, as opposed to a kid that's not really understanding what the NFL game is about or what he's seeing just yet. But the reason why I say I'm cheated in this game, I was telling you guys all week, every show I did, if Justin Fields wasn't the starter in this game and Andy Dalton was, we would be all over the Bears in this game. I would think the Bears would cover the 4, and I would think they would hit their team total, which is like 16.5. Let's check to see what the buy-down number on these two teams is here in this Chicago Bears, San Francisco 49ers game. 49ers, you really can't get it under 20. 19.5, 175. It's pretty expensive. But let's just say a regular line, 21.5 -110. It's not a lot of points for San Francisco. It really isn't. Chicago Bears, 16.5 at -140. Man, if I could have got Andy Dalton on that, man. Yeah, Sean. Yeah, don't worry. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Go out there and get Brian Dable. Franchise be in really good shape. But yeah, that Nagy coaching staff is certainly coming down. But that's what I said. Boy, I wish I did. And listen to me. He's like, Donnie, you're an idiot. What do you mean you want Andy Dalton in this game? Trust me, just a veteran quarterback that can read a defense and make the simple throw. They would move the football against San Francisco's banged-up defense. They really would. They would get 16 in it. They would get 17 points if Dalton was there. You just can't trust Justin Fields. But I have to say, though, even though I rip Justin Fields and I can't stand their offense, 17 isn't a lot. And if Justin Fields can just make a couple plays, again, it's not a lot of points. Even if you had 6 points at the break, you're like, man, I'm in really good shape to get this team total. But San Francisco's actually more of the side that I'm looking for as a team total now that I know Andy Dalton is not going to play in this game. Jacksonville, Seattle, 44.5 is a total. Up a little bit. Pinnacle opened up at 43. They now sit at 45. 3.5s across the board. Some 4 starting the show as a favorite towards Seattle. 64% of the tickets here on the Seattle Seahawks, 53% of the money. And I understand that. Jacksonville coming off a win, now rested. But I think I'm selling Geno Smith a little bit short. I don't think it was really fair last week to try to grade Geno Smith against a really good defense in bad conditions. Got a little bit lucky on that first 84-yarder. Was it 82 or 84-yard touchdown pass to DK Metcalf? But I think Seattle can move the football. I really do. And I think it's do or die time up for the 12s, where I don't think they're going to get beat by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think that's in the cards. And I'm not a huge Seattle guy, especially without Russell Wilson. But let's take a look at some numbers in this game, because I said that over-under is really low. Totals for each side. Jacksonville, to get it under 20 is 19.5. Seattle doesn't have a great defense. How many points will the Seahawks record in this game? 23.5 minus 120, so to get to 24 points. Looks like Chris Carson might not play again this year, reading the reports coming out today from Pete Carroll. Said he's praying for him coming back. We'll see if he does. But I mean, what's the point anyway if their season is lost? Is Russell Wilson going to come back in the next couple of weeks? They have to win this football game, and I do think they win this football game. So if I'm thinking Seattle wins the game and the line is 3.5, you're thinking they cover. Like, I think they win, but don't cover. No, you can't. You get your wallet crushed if you think like that with a 3.5-point line. If you think Seattle's going to cover, they're going to win the game. Goes hand in hand. But looking at the team total, maybe a little bit interesting. Let's take a look at some updated weather reports here. By the way, I didn't check that Chicago weather report. A little bit windy in Chicago. That's going to be such an ugly game, man. It really is. Seattle and Jacksonville weather conditions, 53 degrees to 55 degrees at kickoff. 4-mile-an-hour winds and no precipitation. So that's one that I'm looking at here. I won't outsmart myself. They got some good wide receivers going against a really bad defense and even can make Geno Smith look decent. And the good thing about Trevor Lawrence in that offense, they're going to make some big plays, but Trevor Lawrence is going to make some mistakes, which certainly can help you put points on the board. Yeah, Akbar, 16.5 ridiculous. I mean, I bet teams lower, and that's why I end up buying jerseys of quarterbacks. So you don't want to outsmart yourself. Like, hey, man, I like the Jets team total in this game because White's going to be just as good as Zach Wilson. Okay, I hear you on that. But let's take a look at Seattle over the weekend. I think that might be worth it. New England and the Los Angeles Chargers, Jones and Herbert. 4.5 across the board. Big news in this one, though. Big news in this one. Austin Eckler banged up, maybe not playing Sunday. That's huge. That's huge for the Patriots if you're looking to back them. Which may even mean that you're putting more on the arm of the Clippers. And by the way, I need them to change the LAC for the Los Angeles Chargers. Every time I see it, I stumble over it because it's supposed to be the Clippers. Like, just make it LC or something like that. The LAC kills me every single time. It really does. But back to this game here, team total. Now, I missed out on this one, and I'm going to tell you why. I usually don't like to fire early in the week anymore. In the past, it was never an issue, but COVID and everybody's hurt all the time. I sort of found it better and more profitable now to sit back, lay back, and if you miss a number because you didn't want to jump it and it turns out that everything was okay, so be it. And here's the reason why, because I had this teed up at BetMGM earlier in the week. And that was the New England Patriots at 19.5 at minus 150. It was teed up. I'm like, I like what I see here. The Chargers defense isn't very good, particularly against the run. And I'm going to be able to run the football with a healthy offensive line and running game now, per se, for the New England Patriots. But now look at it, 19.5 minus 190. Go on. It's like, I mean, I guess you could slide it up 21.5 minus 125, but it's always nice to keep it under 20. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals in a dome. You don't anticipate missing extra points, per se. Field goals are easier in a dome, but I slightly missed out on that one. But that still is on the radar for this weekend. Not really looking towards the Chargers in this game. Chargers might be able to win the game, but I'm not really looking from a Chargers perspective here on a team total, which is 26.5 at minus 120. A little steep for me. Washington and Denver, Heineke and Bridgewater. I said out there earlier this week, I don't like Washington. I got to wait until Curtis Samuel comes back. Sort of getting back on my word on that one here because they're somewhat healthy here. Terry McLaurin's going to play. I don't think he has any injury designation for Sunday, as well as Antonio Gibson. Heineke can move the football. If they just let him dive into the end zone, they can put up points. But this is only a 44.5 with a line of 3.5. Weather conditions this weekend, a little bit chilly, 45 degrees at kick, only 6-mile-an-hour winds. But if we take a look here at some team totals at BetMGM, let's take a look here. All right, Washington football team. And we'll start with them. 16.5, obviously minus 250 is ridiculous. But 20.5 at 115. But that key number of 19.5 is at 150. I think they'll be able to move the football this weekend. So that one certainly is on my radar right now. Got to keep an eye on that one. Denver Broncos points here. 23.5 at minus 120. Everybody's been able to score against the Washington football team. And also, Jerry Jeudy coming back this week. That's pretty important. That's a pretty important deal. because we'll be able to open up that passing game even more. A couple good wideouts here for Teddy Bridgewater and a defense that seemingly can't stop anybody through the air. So I'm actually looking towards we're an over too. 44.5 seems like a decent price in this one. Both quarterbacks should be mobile enough to make some plays with their feet and extend plays outside the pocket. Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Tom Brady, Jameis Winston, 4.5 across the board, 49.5 as well. That's a total. Not really in love with this game. You look at Tampa Bay, you think they should blow out New Orleans. I get it. But take a look at Tampa Bay on the road and their scores. Very close. Escaping with victories. Not covering spreads on the road. New Orleans at home in the Dome. They just played on Monday Night Football. They barely beat the Seahawks. Look, that was a tough environment, man. Fly up to the Northwest, play in those cold, windy, rainy conditions, and pull out a victory. It's pretty good here. Alvin Kamara, lean on him. Wait a couple more weeks for Michael Thomas. 50.5. I'm actually leaning towards the over in this game, though, I have to say. Even though it's crazy. It's so hard to lean on unders, though, in the NFL. It really is. Really is. Yeah, Foos, I'm looking at those the totals right now. They're still all up right now, depending on the price that you want. Let me see here. Cowboys backup quarterback Cooper Rush confirmed he took all the first-team reps during team drills Wednesday and Thursday. So get ready. And I'm glad we brought that up because we're going to talk about that game right now. Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings. Cowboys opened up 2.5-point favorites. Now they're getting 3 points in this game. 52.5 across the board. Is this one of those where we have to play the opposite side? Is this the one where Donnie Rightside going to outsmart himself and actually play the team total for the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott out of the game? You saw me tweet out earlier. What's this number going to crash down to? Because it was 26 at the FanDuel Sportsbook a little bit earlier today when the news started to filter out here. Let's take a look here. Totals. Yeah, it's still expensive. It's still expensive. Like, trust me, if Cooper Rush is playing, we're not taking 23.5 at minus 145. Once it's announced Cooper Rush is going to start, that number will creep higher off the threes. 4s, maybe 4.5, somewhere in that range. And that number will be more palatable once it gets down. Minnesota Vikings team total. High. 27.5, minus 110. So you need 4 touchdowns out of them. Can they get it? Yeah, they can. Dalvin Cook's healthy. I get it. But I got to tell you, if you like pain, I got that game circled on Sunday. Let's wait to see when Cooper Rush is officially the starter. And we can wait as long as we went up to kickoff. Because trust me, not many people are going to run to the Dallas side. That's where that value is going to start to pile up. Do you want to trust Cooper Rush? Probably not. But if you're telling me I can get a 21 on a team total with the Dallas Cowboys with a good offensive line, 2 great backs, and 3 good wide receivers, if Michael Gallup comes back this week, bet your ass we're looking at that, people. You bet. Washington hasn't scored more than 14 points 2 weeks in a row. They need to turn up. They do need to turn up. Denver's decent defense. But also keep in mind, Von Miller banged up as well. If he doesn't go, that would be really nice. But they still do have a good secondary. Last game quickly here before I have to get on the radio for In-Play Sports Tonight. Sirius XM, Channel 204, both myself and Kevin Walsh. I'm circling the Giants this week too, boys. Circling the Giants team total. Kansas City doesn't stop anybody. Let's take a weather report here real quick. Mostly cloudy, 43 degrees, 5-mile-an-hour winds should be fine. Maybe some drizzle coming into the forecast, so something to take a look at over the weekend as it gets closer. But if Kadarius Toney gets to the starting line here, Sterling Shepard gets to the starting line, at least you have the semblance of some players at wide receiver, but also a lot more practice reports to come in because they're a Monday game and not a Sunday game. So we're seeing who's going to practice on both sides tomorrow. But that's what I'm looking at for the card this weekend. Like there's a couple, like the Patriots I'm looking at, the Giants I'm looking at, the Bears I was looking at if Andy Dalton was the quarterback, which he's not. Washington football team is going to has my attention here, as well now as the Buffalo Bills. There's a few different outlets. We'll be able to make a really good decision over the next 24 to 48 hours. But those are my thoughts today on a Friday. And as I said, already fired on that one prop bet here. Colts, Bills, Bengals, 3+ touchdowns a piece or more at plus 230. So, I mean, that's what we're going to do on the show today. You know, it's nice to talk about it here. Boy, time goes so fast, doesn't it? You know, doing your own show, like 45 minutes that we just did. It's just like boom, 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 boom. See how easy it is to talk NFL and have some fun out here. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in again. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You know, people like the show, which I like doing it. I'll come on here every Friday in place of our SBR show just to keep you guys caught up. Because usually I come on the show and I have a play or two ready to go with like a team total best bet. I don't have it. But as you guys know, you see right in the background, right above my head, at Right Side VP. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. I'll put those plays out here. The minute I play it, at where I played it, and the exact price I play it. No funny games. I don't have to sell picks anymore. Life's been really good to me where, hey, let me give it to my guys, and maybe later in the week I'll let everybody else in on it. No, when I bet something, I give it out right away, as you guys know. And it's awesome doing that. And I'm really glad that you guys are here and can share in the information, have fun. So just hit that subscribe. But no matter where you watch it, Twitter, Twitch, whatever it is, thanks you guys for tuning in here. We'll keep this bad boy rolling and get this off the rails with some ridiculous winning streaks here. But 10-4 so far on the season, winning a lot of these prop bets, and we're going to keep on doing it here for us. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning into the show. And I'll be back next Friday. Let's do it again, boys. I'll be around all weekend. Got the radio to do. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com.